Welcome! This is how to self-publish your book for free using Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing, and my name is Tanya R. Rawlings. I have authored and self-published over 20 books. I mainly write Christian books, children's books, and devotionals, but my latest book is how to self-publish your book for free using Amazon Kindle's Direct Publishing, which we are going to be discussing today. Everything in this video is in my book, but you'll also find lots of notes, tips, and bonuses in the book that will not be on this presentation. So what is Kindle Direct Publishing? Kindle Direct Publishing is a company owned by Amazon. It's known as KDP, so we'll just call it KDP for short. When it originated, it only focused on ebooks for the Kindle reader, and they had a sister company called CreateSpace that produced and published paperback books. But in 2018, Amazon decided we're not going to have two different companies doing the same thing, publishing books. So they made everybody who was publishing on CreateSpace move to KDP, which is what happened to me. So for the last year, since 2018, it's currently 2019, I've been working with KDP to self-publish books. And so far, I've had really good results. KDP is pretty self-explanatory. They have lots of tutorials and videos and templates that you can use to create your book. But they're not technically like a publishing company. A traditional publisher is going to purchase your book. They're going to edit your book. They're going to stylize your book and format your book, and they're going to make it ready to be sold. What Kindle Direct Publishing is, in reality, is what's called a print-on-demand company. And all it means is you upload your book to their server, and then when someone purchases the book, that's when they print it and sell it. They're not going to format your book for you. They're not going to edit your book for you. They're not even going to market and sell your book for you. You really are all hands on deck. You are the writer, you are the editor, you are the publisher, you are the marketer. You do all the work. And KDP gets a percentage of whatever you sell. That's how KDP works. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is create a KDP account. And you do that at kdp.amazon.com. If you have an Amazon account that you buy and sell items from, you can use that account, or you can create a brand new one. And it's just like setting up any other account. You're going to need your name, your email, and a password. Once your account is set up, you can go log in, and this will be your dashboard. At the top, you have your bookshelf, and that's where all your books will be listed once you publish them. Your reports is where all of your financial information is, your sales and royalties. The community is where you can talk to other people that are on the KDP. And then the KDP Select, that's only for ebooks, so we're not going to talk about that right now. If you look at the very top of your dashboard, the very top where the gray line is, you'll find your account, and you'll click on that. All right, then it'll take you to this page where you will need to fill out all of your information in order to get paid. So author publisher, that's you, unless you have actually created a publishing company that you are selling your books through. If you have not created a publishing company, then this is your name, your address, and all of your legal information. So your legal name and all of that. If you're a publishing company, then you want your company name, your company address, company information. They're going to ask you for your banking information. Again, this is either you as an individual or your business, depending on which way you are set up. So routing number, account number, name of the bank, where it's located. And then the last part is your tax information. So again, you want your legal name, not a pen name, not, just the name you go by every day. It's the name that you put on your tax forms. Okay? Once you have that information set up and ready to go, then you can start getting paid once your book starts selling. Okay, so going back to your main dashboard, you can see that there is a plus, and then it's Kindle ebook, and a plus, and a paperback book. That's where you'll click to start your publishing process. And then off to the side of that, you'll see lots of different bullet points, book content, book cover, descriptions, ISBNs. And those are all just templates and guides and things that'll help you work on your book. So we'll start by pushing the plus paperback. KDP, they divide up their publishing process into 3 sections. The first section is your paperback details, then the second one is your book content, and then the third one is your rights and prices. So we're going to start obviously in section 1. The first question they ask you is, what is your book written? What language is your book written in? Here in America, more likely it's going to be English. But there are actually 33 different languages that KDP recognizes. One of the things you need to know is that, like here in America, when we read a book, we read it the left page, then the right page, whereas in other countries might read the book from right page to left page. Kindle is not set up to go right to left orientation. They only do left to right. So if you are wanting to publish a book in a foreign language, keep that in mind. All right, next is your book title. Now, if you have not written your book, but you kind of want to start this publishing process and you know for certain what your title is going to be and you're not going to change it, then go ahead and start the process. But here's the thing. If you're not sure what the title is, you can't change it. Once you enter that thing in, it's done. So make sure you got the right title and that it's typed correctly and everything else. This last book I did, that I'm working on, I messed up. Somehow or another, I left out a word and I inserted a colon, 2 colons, and I'm like, I didn't even see it. I didn't see it until after I published the book. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I do that? I had to call KDP and be like, help. and they were not happy with that. They don't really like changing things or taking things down. They will. They absolutely will help you if you make a mistake. But just keep in mind, once you enter that title, it's not changeable. Okay, in the next section, they want to know if this book is a series. This section is optional. You don't have to put this in, but if you say you have a series of books and there's like 7 books in the series, is this 1 of 7, 2 of 7, 3 of 7, so on and so forth. The next one is the edition. Again, optional. Is this the first time you have published this book? Is it a second edition? Is it a special edition? Put those in there. All right, the next section is the author. And this is where you can put in your pen name if you happen to use a pen name. But if you don't use a pen name, then this is your name. There has to be a minimum of 1 author on the book. The next section is contributors. If there are other authors, this is where you would put their names. Illustrators, translators. If you have somebody that funded the book, a financial contributor, anybody that you want recognized as being a part of the book will go in the contributor section. It won't necessarily be printed on the book unless you put it that way. This is simply for the Amazon webpage. Okay, then you have your description of your book. And I kind of liken this to like a movie trailer. You give snippets of what the book is about, but you really want to make sure that what you're describing is accurate and you give more than enough details. So I'm going to give you a little example of what I mean. In 1996, the movie Scream came out, and I am not a thrill seeker as far as like horror films and anything gruesome in that nature. I hate that stuff. It just gives me the heebie-jeebies. But this particular movie I wanted to see. And the reason for it is because the trailers, they were advertising this as Drew Barrymore's comeback role. And I love and adore Drew Barrymore. I just think she's awesome. Loved her as a kid and even more so as a grown-up. She's just a great actress. But there was a time when she had taken a break from acting. She had a rough life and she had a lot of issues, family issues, addictions. She just wasn't healthy. And so she thought, you know what, I just need to take a break from acting and just focus on myself and kind of get stable, get some of these people out of my life or whatever. And this movie, Scream, was her comeback role. And that's exactly how they were advertising it. You know, look at the pictures of the posters for the movie posters. Her face, that's her face, is the prominent face of the movie. So I sit down, I'm watching the movie, and who's the first face on the movie? It's Drew Barrymore. Yay, right? But 10 minutes in, 10 minutes, she's dead. She's killed. And the rest of the movie is not about her. It's about a different character. In fact, Neve Campbell and, what's her name? Courtney Cox, Arquette. They are actually the main characters of the movie, not Drew Barrymore. So you have to understand, as a fan of Drew Barrymore, I was mad. I was willing to scream because, hello, this is not what you promised me. I was promised a Drew Barrymore movie, not a Drew Barrymore cameo. So needless to say, I wasn't thrilled. I did not watch the other 3 or 4 or however many more movies that came out after that. But you know what? They made a ton of money off of this ploy of Drew Barrymore fans. The very fact that her name was on the movie drew people in, and they made a ton of money doing this. I highly suggest you don't do this, okay? Don't dupe people, okay? But I'm gonna give you more of a real life example. Okay, this is one of my books, my children's books, called Allie the Alligator, Princess Allie. And I am very proud of this book. I worked really hard on it, and the graphics, the illustrations, all of it, and it's just one of my babies, okay? So when I was doing the description, I wanted it to be appealing. And so here's what it reads. It says, Allie the Alligator learns that being a princess is not about what you see on the outside, but about being kind and gentle on the inside. Now, that is an accurate description of what my book is about. And like I said, I'm really pleased with it and proud of it. And I even sold a copy and got a 5-star rating. And I'm like, woohoo, 5-star rating. But a few months ago, I went back and I'm looking at my book, and the 5-star rating had went down. Somebody had gave me a bad review. So here's that review. I got a 1 star. Can you believe it? 1 star. I was like devastated. Why don't they like my book? Well, after reading it, I understand why this person doesn't like my book. In fact, her name is at the top. It says Karen. Karen says, this author uses religion at the end of her children's stories. I bought this for my great niece, 2 years old. I didn't know the book would reference the New Testament and speak of Jesus. As a Jewish person, I was unable to gift this book. Well, guess what? Karen bought this book thinking it was one thing, and when she got it, it was something else. And she is screaming mad, right? I don't blame her. It was not my intention to dupe her. It really wasn't. I thought I was giving a good description of my book, but I left out a detail. I left out that this is a Christian book. I'm a Christian author, that I put little Bible studies at the end. And that was not happy for, she was not happy about that. I don't blame her, okay? So the problem is I cannot contact Karen. I can't go on there and say, oh, Karen, I'm sorry. So if y'all know Karen, she's a Jewish lady with a great niece who's like 2 years old, and she's not very happy. If y'all know her, please tell her I'm sorry. But here's the thing. If you get a bad review, one bad review, that's not going to hurt you too bad. But if you keep getting bad reviews, then Amazon has the right to take your book down. They have that right. So this is what I did. I went back and I fixed my description. And this is what it reads now. Allie the Alligator learns that being a princess is not about what you see on the outside, but about being kind and gentle on the inside. This book by Christian author Tanya R. Rawlings is great for teaching kids about self-image. Includes a memory verse and Bible lesson after the story. So there it is in black and white. What is the story about? And what's the purpose of the book, and who is this book for? This book is for people who want to give their children a Christian perspective on things, okay? So that's not Karen, unfortunately, and I'm very sorry, Karen. So make sure that whatever you're putting in that description box is accurate and that does not leave anything out that will cause your customers to be angry with you. Okay, so the next section is on publishing rights. Basically, if you are the originator, if you created the book, everything is original, you didn't plagiarize it or anything else, then you own the rights to this book. There's also what's called public domain, and that means that the rights belong to the public and anyone can use that information. An example of that would be like a nursery rhyme. Not all nursery rhymes, but certain nursery rhymes. So take, for example, Baa Black Sheep. So you decide to write a book, Baa Black Sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full, right? KDP will allow you to publish that under your name. However, there's some gray areas, so I would really encourage you to contact KDP to make sure that you're not violating any copyright laws. And my understanding of it is that you can use it, but you do need to alter it, make it somewhat original, okay? Okay, next, Amazon gives you, or KDP gives you 7 slots to put in different keywords or key phrases. And these are basically those words that you put in a search engine when you're looking for something, but you don't know the exact title. So for this particular book, How to Self-Publish Your Book for Free Using Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing, I have, different words about publishing in my keywords. Then the next thing is categories, and that is really, like your genre. Are you a fiction book? Is it a nonfiction book? Is it a Western? Is it a romance? Is it a how-to book, a cookbook? Is it a children's book? Is it a comic book, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And for the categories, you can actually choose up to 2 different categories that your book can fall into. And then we end section 1 with adult content. And KDP is kind of gray area on what is adult content. Use your best judgment. If it's not appropriate for anyone under the age of 18, then make sure you mark it. And this is if it's in the book, if it's on the cover or in the description, anything that's inappropriate for children, mark it as adult content. And that's the end of section 1. Section 2, we're working on the paperback content, and that starts with your ISBN number. KDP gives you 2 options for your ISBN. You can buy your ISBN or you can use their free ISBN. So we're going to compare those a little bit. Okay, so if you buy your ISBN, then you are the official publisher of the book and your name will be listed as the publisher on Amazon. Whereas if you use the free KDP, technically KDP is the publisher, but it won't say KDP on the Amazon website. What it will say is independently published. So it won't give any person or any business recognition. It'll just say independent. The next thing is if you buy your ISBN, then anybody that uses ISBNs, say like Barnes & Noble, bookstores, libraries, any distributor, they will recognize your ISBN number. Whereas when you use the free ISBN number, mainly only Amazon recognizes it. So that's a downfall of using that. And it doesn't matter which ISBN you choose. Once you choose it, you can't change it ever. If you choose to buy your ISBN, you'll want to go to Bowker, who is the only person who sells ISBNs. Their website is myidentifier.com. One ISBN alone is $125. You can also buy them in bundles of 10, 100, and 1,000. And the more you buy, the cheaper they are. And you might be thinking, well, why would I even want to buy that many? Let's say you have a book, you published it and everything, but now you want to do it a little let's say you want to come out with a second edition, but you don't want to stop selling the first edition, then you would get a different ISBN for the second edition. Let's say you have a book in paperback, you want it in hardback, you need a different ISBN for that. Yeah, there's lots of different reasons. Let's say you have it in a 6x9 and you want to change it to a different size, a 5x8 or an 8x10 or whatever you want to change the size of your book. And then you have to have a different ISBN. So there's lots of reasons for having different ISBNs. Even if you just want to have different ISBNs for different books, that's another reason. But if you're like me and you cannot afford $125 a pop or over $1,000 or whatever, then do the free one. Okay, so moving on to the print options. Basically, you have 3 different interior styles to choose from. You can have black ink on a cream paper, you can have black ink on a white paper, or you can have colored ink on a white paper. Those are your only 3 choices, and basically it's just what your preference is and what you need for your book. Okay, so your trim size, that's the actual size of your book. So the most common trim size in publishing is a 6-inch by 9-inch book. Now, does size matter? Yes and no. So basically, you can choose any size book you want. I think as far as standard sizes that KDP does, the smallest one I think is a 5x8, and their biggest one is an 8.5 by 11. I have custom books that are a 5x6. So yes, you can do a custom book instead of the standard books trims. Now it does matter in marketing your book. And we're going to talk about that later when we get into the extended distribution. Just realize that whatever trim size you choose, if you do a custom trim size or if you're not doing a standard trim size, that it will affect extended distribution. We'll talk about that later. Bleed settings. To bleed or not to bleed? That is the question. Okay, so what is bleed? Bleed has to do with your pictures, and I'm going to give you an example right now. So this is an example from my Allie the Alligator or Princess Allie book. As you can see, the image goes all the way to the edge of the page. That is bleed, okay? Whereas this one, the picture is within the border of the page. That means no bleed. Okay, so how do you format for bleed? Because you have to format for bleed different than a no bleed book. This is an example of a 6x9 book. The white part of the picture represents the page, whereas the gray represents the image, the picture. And it's larger than the page. It's okay, and that's not by accident. It's supposed to be larger. So when you are formatting your book, not on KDP, but in your computer, what you'll do is you'll go to Format and then Page, and you'll have to add a 0.125 to your width and a 0.25 to your height to accommodate for bleed. So on a 6x9 book, your actual size of your book, your actual trim size is a 6.125 by 9.25. If you do not accommodate and put the exact measurement into your books, your bleed settings are going to be off and KDP will reject your book. Had it happen multiple times. Alrighty, your book is done. You have written it and you have edited it over and over again and proofread it and formatted it, and it's ready to be loaded. This is where it goes. Now, KDP will allow you to upload your book in different formats. You can do the .doc or a Word document. You can do it in HTML. You can do it in a rich text format. I'm telling you right now, if you do it in those, you're going to upload it and you're going to see formatting errors almost 100% of the time. Almost, I mean. So what you want to do, because what happens is what you have on your computer is going to look completely different than what it's going to look like on the server. So KDP recommends it. I recommend it. Convert your document into a PDF file, then upload it. I have not had any issues since I started doing that. If you don't know how to do a PDF conversion, Google it. You can find free PDF converters online. However, if you do use a free PDF converter online, make sure they do not put a watermark on your paper. You do not want someone else's image or name on your book. Okay, so check for that before you load it. Once your book is loaded and you are then you're ready to do your cover. Now I create my own covers, but you may not know how to do that. You can pay somebody to create a cover, but if you want free, then you can use the KDP's cover creator, and it's a step-by-step process of how to do that. So this is what the cover creator looks like. First, you're going to choose your design. Then you're going to edit it, put the different style or color or fonts or whatever it is you want on it. If you have an image and you want a specific picture or image on your book, you can upload that into the cover creator and put that on your cover as well. So you're not just limited to what KDP gives you. You can put your own stuff in there as well. And then you will preview it, and once you like it, you will select it, and your cover will be done. Once you have your manuscript and your cover done, the next thing you want to do is preview it. KDP will not actually let you do anything else until you have previewed your book. So this is what it looks like when you launch it. And I have to tell you, I hate KDP's previewer. It takes forever to launch. I mean, sometimes it'll even tell you, it will take us a while to load this for you. Please take the time and go make a sandwich. I mean, it just takes way too long to load. So if you're sitting there looking at your computer going, is this taking forever? It's not your computer, it's KDP. But once it does load, this is what it looks like. Your book is on the right side, and then on the left side, there will be notes. If there's any formatting errors, they're going to tell you on the left side. Now, they don't catch everything, but they do catch a lot. They're not going to, check for grammar or spelling, that type of stuff. It's just formatting errors. So as you can see on this particular page, in fact, I think there's 4 different pages there in the notes, I've got a formatting error. And they actually went ahead and fixed it for me, which is pretty cool. I didn't have to go and fix it. In this particular case, I had a website in my text, and I had forgotten to remove the hyperlink. So they just removed the hyperlink for me. So sometimes they do it for you, but a lot of times they'll tell you, go and fix this before we will publish it. All right, final section is paperback rights and pricing. Okay, so territories. Basically, where are you going to sell your book? Are you going to sell it all around the world? Are you going to sell it in certain territories? And do you even have the right to sell it in these places? If you are the creator of this book and it's all original, then more likely than not, you have world rights and you can sell it anywhere you want. All right, the good stuff, the pricing and the royalties. This is where you make the money, right? Okay, so KDP, they have a specific minimum. They have a minimum and a maximum amount of what you can sell your book for. For the How to Self-Publish book, I can sell it for as little as $5.98, which I would not make any money off of. I wouldn't make a single penny. Or as much as $250. So if there's anybody out there willing to pay $250, I will definitely sell it to you for that much. Okay, but seriously, how much do you price your book for? It really just depends. I highly recommend you do a lot of research, find out what books are selling for in your genre, whatever genre you're writing your book in. My research says that the average new book price is between $13 and $18, but I've seen them vary from like $6 to $35. I mean, it really just depends on what you want to sell your book for. If you look closely, there'll be a little box for you to check for extended distribution. So I want to focus on that for a little bit. What is it? And do you really want it? So extended distribution is anything that is not Amazon.com. Okay, so Amazon.com is going to be your primary, or well, Amazon dot whatever, Amazon.com or dot Europe or Canada or whatever. Anything Amazon related that you have chosen, that's where your book will be sold. But extended distribution is where your book can be sold on other sites other than Amazon. It's supposed to be made available to bookstores like Barnes and Noble or your local retail bookstore. It's supposed to make it available to libraries and other places like this. Just because you choose extended distribution does not mean that those places will supply your book and sell your book. It just means it's been made available to those suppliers. Okay, so we're going to compare Amazon with extended distribution. On the left side, I have my book, Allie the Alligator Princess, Allie, being sold on Amazon.com for $12.75. That's the price that I chose for my book. Then on the right side, we have an extended distributor named abebooks.com selling the exact same book, but they're selling it for $29.40. So if you take their price minus the $12.75, they are making a profit off of my book of $16.95 or $16.65. Okay, so how does that break down for me? Okay, so if I'm selling my book on Amazon, I get 60% of the royalty. So to figure that out, you take 60% times the list price minus the printing cost equals your royalty. So 60% of $12.75, that's my list price, minus $3.65, which is my printing cost. Now, printing cost varies depending on your book, so don't assume that's how much every book costs. That equals out to $4. So for every book, every Princess Allie book I sell on Amazon, I get a $4 royalty. Now looking at the extended distribution, I get 40% of list price minus printing cost equals royalty. So this 40% times $12.75. Now pay attention because it's not the $29.40. I only get 40% of my list price, not theirs. Then I subtract the printing cost, and that gives me a royalty of $1.45. So the question of should you do the extended distribution or not depends on kind of your mindset. If you're willing to sell your book for $1.45 or even less, then go for it. You know, some people have that mindset of, you know what, every penny counts. I've gotten my book sold for I've gotten a royalty of 4 cents. So that might be the way you want to go. But if you're of the mindset of, hey, I worked hard for this and I'll be darned if I'm going to sell my book for $1.45, then don't do the extended distribution. Truth be told, I waver. I go back and forth between the, hey, you know, every penny counts, and why am I selling this for so low? So it just depends on what you want to do. Okay, now you're ready to order some copies, but what do you want? Do you want a proof copy or do you want an author copy? Well, the difference is that your proof copy is for pre-publication. So you aren't ready to sell your book. You want to look at a physical copy of it, proofread it, check for any errors or formatting mistakes or anything like that. Then you order your proof copy. Once your book is ready and it's exactly the way you want it, then you can order your author copies. The price between proof and author copies is exactly the same, okay? One's not cheaper than the other, so it doesn't matter which one you buy. However, proof copies cannot be resold, okay? And your proof copy will have on the front cover, not for resale. So if you don't want to invest money in something that you cannot resell, then don't buy the proof copy. Only order the author copies, okay? But mind you, the author copy is after you publish your book. So that means anybody can buy your book. And if you haven't proofread the physical copy, there might be errors in there that you are not aware of, and you're out there selling this book, okay? Okay, so how do you order copies? Well, you're going to go back to your main dashboard, and now under your bookshelf, you're going to see your books listed down below, and you find the book that you want. So in this case, it's the, how to self-publish your book for free. And it says it's live. That means I'm selling them. And then all the way over to the right-hand side, it says order author copies. Now, if it wasn't published yet, then it would say, in review or draft or something of that nature. And then you would say you could order your proof copies. Okay, so the book is complete and it's ready and it's out there and it's for sale. Yay! So my book right now is on sale for sale on Amazon for $14.99. And when you buy it, there is a link in the book for free book templates. So what I did was I took a 6x9, an 8.5 by 11, and a 5x8 template and created that for you, formatted it. It's ready. All you got to do is just start typing away and upload it to KDP. And the reason I did that is because I'm not always thrilled with KDP's templates. They're there, but I don't always use them. I don't like them. So I create my own templates. So if you buy the book, you get the templates for free. All right. Awesome. Okay. So final thoughts here. I remember writing wanting to write my first book and having all these doubts and insecurities of why I should and shouldn't write it, and, I don't have the time, and would anybody read it, and blah, 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 right? We all have those little thoughts going in our head. Well, my first book was called The Love Challenge, and I got the idea when I was counseling. I was a licensed professional counselor. I'm since retired, and I had my primary thing was working with kids and working with women. That's who I love to work with. But every now and then I'd have people who wanted relationship advice. And I was not a marriage counselor. I was not a family counselor. That was not my expertise. I did it. I was licensed to do it, but it was not my expertise. And I would often tell them, maybe I should refer you. But every now and then you just get those clients who are like, no, I want you to, okay, I will do my best. And so, I just started researching and praying, God, show me what to do with these clients. And of course, I go to my all-time number one resource for relationships, and that's the Bible. And I get to 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And in that chapter, there are 16 terms that describe what love is and what love is not. And I thought, here's a really great idea. I'm going to take these 16 terms and turn them into challenges. Hence, the Love Challenge. So I started working with my clients on this, and I got some really awesome results, and I also got some really bad results. What I discovered is if one person is doing the challenge and the other person or people are not aware of it, it worked great. The person working on the Love Challenge is doing a different challenge every week. They were learning and growing and learning how to love and be there for the other person. And the other person was seeing that and responding very well. However, if the other person was aware of what the person was doing or was trying to do the challenge with them, then it turned into kind of a war between them. Like, well, you weren't doing your challenge this week, and I worked harder than you did. So what I learned was if one person loved the other person and the other person wasn't aware of it, they were just taking the challenge one step at a time, it worked great. And I found that to be biblical in that in 1 John, God says, the only reason you love me is because I loved you first. And that's the whole premise of the Love Challenge. So here I thought that I had this really unique idea when all of a sudden this movie comes out called Fireproof, starring Kirk Cameron. And in the movie, his character, who's a fireman, is married to a woman who is, she works in a hospital and everything. So they both have these very high strenuous jobs. And she has, parents who are elderly and sick, and he has an addiction and everything. And so their marriage is like barely hanging on. And so they even scream, I want a divorce. They went out. So his dad, he's talking to his dad, and his dad's like, you know what? Is there anything at all that would make you want to work on your marriage? So that's even just a smallest little bit. And Kirk Hammett's characters was like, well, yeah, but it's over. I mean, I can't do anything. And his dad's like, wait a minute. I have something I want to give you. It's a book, and I want you to read it. And don't sign any divorce papers. Don't do anything until you have finished reading this book. And the name of the book was The Love Dare. Well, how can I write my book now? People are going to be thinking, I am plagiarizing this movie. I am just taking it out of the movie and putting my name on it, right? So I put it off. I didn't write it. Well, then something else happened. The audience, the people who watched the movie and became fans of the movie, they wanted to be able to buy the Love Dare book. So they were actually contacting the producers of the movie saying, where can we buy this book? And they're like, well, you can't. It's made up. It's not real. This is a movie. And the people were like, no, we want the book. Write the book. So they did. They wrote it and they sold it. And now I'm like, well, now I really can't make my book because, again, people are going to think I stole it. Even though I had this idea long before I saw the movie and long before this book was even made. So what do I do now, right? Nothing. But deep in my gut was this nagging feeling that I needed to write the book. And so I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? The people that watched the movie, they had a need for that book. They have a want for that book. So it's not just me writing something to be writing it. It's fulfilling a need. Not to mention, how many books on love are there out there in this world? I mean, you can't count them. There's so many. So who am I to think that I cannot write my book when there's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of books on love? So I wrote the book, The Love Challenge. And not only did I write one, but I wrote 4. There was the Love Challenge, Loving One Another. There's one on loving your body, one about loving, money, one about loving God. It turned into a series. And this is what I know now. Your book is needed. So whatever excuse, whatever lie that you are choosing to believe, you need to let it go. Whatever fear or worry or doubt, let it go, because somewhere, someone out there in this world needs your book. So write it. Stephen King, one of the most famous authors in the world, says the scariest moment is always just before you start. So start writing and start publishing your book.